Hey everybody, welcome to week 7 of the Hawthorn Hoodie Crochet Along. So this week we are going to be joining our panels together. This is not, there we go. We're on a bad camera angle for a second. Okay, so at this point you should have, let me put this down for 1 second, your front of your hoodie, which should look like this. Here's your collar line and your neckline right there. And then the back part of your hoodie, which should look just like that, except it shouldn't have anything like a neckline at the top because this is the back of your hoodie. I have not woven in my ends yet. Ignore that. It really doesn't matter. So in order to join these, it's really not as difficult as it looks, I promise. So the directions right here say, okay, this is optional. If you guys want to block your panels and use that to get the correct measurements that were listed. So basically, if your pieces came out smaller than what the measurements said, I'm trying to see. Okay, so finished sizes on this chart right here. If your items came out smaller than whatever these numbers are supposed to say for your size, you can block them. If you don't know how to block, let me know and I will attach a video. If you're happy with the size, you don't have to. I'm not going to block mine, but you can do that if you want to before you join everything together. So you're going to place the back and the front panel together, but what they mean, don't worry about getting confused because I'm going to show you. And again, it's a lot easier than it sounds. So again, now here is this little image. So if you guys are looking at the pattern, you see the neckline right here, which is what I have in front of me. And then you're going to take the back portion of your hoodie and you're going to line it up just like this. Okay. So, what I like to do now, I want to make sure that you guys see this. If you guys noticed when you were making these, you kind of have like a raised row, a not raised row, not raised row, same thing, not raised, raised, not raised, raised. So when you bring them together, in this instance, we have a not raised row, and you also have a not raised row right here. But if we flip it, you have a not raised row and a raised row. So I recommend, because I believe like there's a right side and a wrong side, but I really don't think that it matters much for this particular hoodie. So I'm gonna say, and even if you do, I'm just making sure yeah, okay. So you want the ribbing for the bottom piece of the hoodie all the way away from you. Okay. And then again, if it's not like a raised row and a raised row, it's really not that big of a deal. I'm just kind of particular in that. So again, here's the front of our hoodie. I'm just going to bring this up because it keeps sliding. Okay. And then the back of our hoodie. And we're going to start by joining right here and right here together. Rachel, the designer of this pattern, likes to use the slip stitch method to bring them together. So do I. If you want to just take the yarn that you're using for the project and thread it through a needle, and you can use the whip stitch or whatever stitch you want to bring it together, you can. It's totally up to you, whatever your preferred joining method is. But personally, I like this method the best. So it does say to use the tail of the yarn, which would be this. Or again, if we flip this over, then it would be over there. I don't leave super long tails because I never end up having enough. So I just leave my tails. I use my ball of yarn to connect everything together and then I weave them in. So And the seam, so again, I'm going to be using it directly from the ball. If I can find, what did I do with it? There it is. Okay. Then you're going to have your sleeves that we're going to do as well, but they can just be off to the side for now because we're not ready for them yet. So you're going to do, yep. So you're just right to begin. We're going to just start right here with the shoulders. So all you're going to do, if you're going to follow this method, let me find the end of my yarn right here, is, and make sure this is on camera. It is. Okay. So you're going to go into, I have to sit down for this part, the very last stitch in the last row that you crocheted, and then the very last stitch on the bottom portion, which is right there. So you're gonna, this is how I do it. You put your hook through both of them and then wrap the yarn around your hook like that and pull that loop through both of those stitches. All right, so you should have your tail end about, long enough so that you can weave it in. And then you're just going to go into making sure you don't want to skip any stitches or anything like that. You're just going to go into the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through. So again, we're literally just slip stitching all the way across to making sure, again, not to skip any of these because you don't want there to be like holes where your finger can slide through or whatever. So just make sure that you don't miss any stitches. Go in, out the other side, pull the yarn through, and then pull it through just like this. So you're going to do this all the way across. I'm going to do this all on camera because a lot of people say that they get confused at this part, understandably so, if you've never done it before. So in one stitch, out the other stitch, pull through. And then again, you're just going to do that all the way across, making sure not to miss, or like you also, so you don't want to miss any stitches, but you also don't want to double go into any stitches. So you don't want to like go into this one and then go back into that one. So just make sure that you're going in like a perfectly straight line, because otherwise you can end up with like a wonky neckline. So this should not take long at all. And again, if you left a long enough tail from where you worked on it, you can absolutely use that. I found that no matter how long of a tail I cut, I almost always don't have enough. So I stopped leaving super long tails, like I said, and I just go and use it directly from the ball of yarn. So I think at this point I've done enough of it on camera for you guys to get like the general understanding of how to do this. It's, again, you're just going in both stitches, but you have to make sure that you have it lined up correctly. And it may not make sense in your head right now as to why we're doing it this way, but it will, I promise. So you're going to do this all the way across, and then when you're done, you're going to cut it off. I'm going to do that part. I'm going to show you guys what to do when you get to the end. Move over to the next side, and then I will pause the video and do the rest of it off camera, and then just jump to the next part, because there's no point in me doing both sides of this on camera. You're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I'll get you started there in a second, and then I will cut the video until we get to the sleeve. So here we are, our last stitch. Go into the next stitch on the back panel of your hoodie, pull it through, and now you want to make sure that you stop right here. Again, this is your last stitch. So at this point, I'm just double checking into the camera real quick. Yeah, you should have your panels joined together. with your slip stitches right here. It should look something like that, and then you should be good. Just kind of like, lift it up, make sure there's no holes or anything. Looks good to me. So we're just going to pull up a little bit. Again, you don't want anything too long because all you're doing with this is weaving it back in. So we're going to snip. And then, now this part is actually a little bit important. So you want to make sure that you don't, like, this needs to be completely lined up right here. Like, you want to, your two last stitches for this part of the panel need to be this one, the very last stitch, and the very last stitch up here. So if you want to, you can count, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So if you want to, you can count 20 stitches in this way. You know what? I'm actually going to do that. Give me 1 second. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay. Yeah, you guys actually, you should do this. So there's 20 stitches. So you want to go into this one and then the 20th stitch right here. Because if you don't count and make sure that they line up perfectly, you're going to end up again with like a wonky zigzagged edge. So it should look very lined up just like that. So again, I believe it's 20 stitches in. The hook's there to hold that in place. And then again, you go back to your ball of yarn. You just wrap this like a little bit of a tail. Wrap this around the end of your hook. Pull through. Okay. And then into the next stitch here and the next stitch here. Grab it and pull through the loop on the hook. And you're going to slip stitch all the way over to the end right here. So you guys go ahead and do that. I'm going to pause this and I will be back to show you how to attach the remainder of it. All right, we're back. And at this point, you should have both ends completely, or both, both. Let me pull this up a little bit. Yeah, you want right here completely sewn and right here completely sewn. So I'm going to lift this up and just a little bit longer cut this off. Again, ignore the pieces of yarn hanging everywhere. I have to go back and sew those in. But I'm going to do that off camera just because it's a lot. So once you have this done, you have to keep in mind that you don't want what we just did here showing on. I'm starting to think that I might have missed, like, you know what? Give me, ooh, I'm sorry, I banged the camera. It's not even a big deal. I'm just going to go back into this one real quick and just double, like, secure it because I feel like it's, ooh, or no, that was right. Hold on, that was my fault. Yeah, let's pull it through like that. That's better. Okay. And then once I sew those in, it won't matter anyway. Just ignore that. So now we have front, back attached. Again, your seams, which are right here, are going to eventually be on the inside of the hoodie, flipped inside out. So you want to leave it just like this. And then if we go back to our instructions, we brought those together. So next you want to place your front and back panel, now joined right side facing down, which it is. This is the wrong side because that's where the seams are, so that you want them facing up, meaning the right side is facing down against the table. Sorry. And then you're gonna line up the last row of your first sleeve so that the shoulder seam joining the front and back panels is directly in the center. So grab one of your sleeves, okay? Again, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, what side you use, like if you want to use this side or the other side, but I would recommend just be consistent. So I'm going to go with this raised row, this last row on the sleeve being raised. So when I do my other sleeve on the right side, see how if I have it this way, here's a raised row, right? And then if I go on the other side, it's this one's raised and this one's flat. Again, it really isn't that big of a deal. You probably wouldn't even notice, but if you're going to use a raised row here, also do raised row on the other side. But we're going to do one at a time. So, for this particular part, the directions recommend, because you want to do it exactly in the center. So give me 1 second. Okay, so for me, I have 48 stitches on the last row of my sleeve. That means that I want to have 24 stitches of that sleeve on this side and another 24 on this side. So what I'm going to do is pause the video real quick, grab some stitch markers. For you guys, it'll just be like you blinked. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So what I did is I marked my 24th stitch on my sleeve. Let me bring this up so you guys are more in the camera view. Okay. So the 24th stitch, since there's 48 total, is the middle. Okay, so I marked that stitch. So this middle stitch needs to align, which is right here, with this seam where we just brought those together. So that's 24. So I'm just gonna put this, if I can figure it out. Give me 1 second. There's too many strings in the way. Put it like through one of the, there we go, one of the seam stitches, and then put it through the 24th stitch. So what I recommend doing once you've done that, now you got to make sure that they're even. And again, you need to keep this flat because this is not as easy as the other side, because now we're not going into a stitch and out a stitch. We're going into the end of a row. So it is going to feel weird. Sorry, you guys are off. I'm trying to get this and it takes up a lot of room. Okay, so what I just said, I'm going to repeat it. You're not going into a stitch on this portion. We're at the end of rows right here. It's going to feel a little weird, but as long as you have the center marked like that, and this is completely flat, don't pull it or stretch it or anything like that. You're just going to take your yarn, just like we did on the other one, and join. So you're going to put your hook into, and really quick before I start this, I just want to show you guys. So if you're reading the pattern, so I can make sure that this makes sense to you guys, you want to, it says line up the last row is this, of your first sleeve so that the shoulder seam joining the front and back panels is directly in the center. That's what we just did right here. She recommends placing a stitch marker in the middle and both ends of the sleeve. So if you want to, now that you have this lined up, you can put a stitch marker like here and here. I'm not going to do that because I already know that I'm going in here. Now again, you're kind of like in the middle of a stitch right here. That's fine. Don't worry about that. So you're going to go into the side row wherever it made sense. Then go into the first stitch of the top of the sleeve. And just like we did up here, we're going to wrap the yarn around the hook, pull it through. I have to make sure I'm doing this in the right, in the right direction. I am. So let me, okay, you know what? This is, I'm not in the camera the right way. So you guys saw, oh, I'm sorry, I banged the camera. How it's supposed to be. We got the stitch marker holding in the center thing, but this is not on camera the way that I wanted it to be. And now we lost the center. Okay, this is a mess. Give me 1 second. Okay, I brought them back together. So now we have the center stitch marked. They're connected with this stitch marker. So again, when you hold it like this, it should be flat and it should look no waves, no bumps, nothing like that. So then all you're going to do is just like we did, hold on 1 second, on when we were bringing the shoulders together, like I just said, is we went into there, and then you're just going to go into the next stitch. And then again, we don't have stitches on this part of the hoodie because we're just going into the end of the rows. So just like I said, you're kind of just going to go in a stitch, if that makes sense. I'm really trying to keep this on the camera for you guys. So you go in there, you kind of just have to wing it. It's not going to be perfect, but once you flip it inside out, you won't even be able to see the seam and it'll be fine. So you just kind of line up the hook wherever it makes sense. You don't want to go like too crazy or too far into the hoodie. So go into the stitch and then right into the end, making sure that you're not going any further than like one stitch into the body, if that makes sense. And you're going to do this all the way to the stitch marker. And then once you get to the stitch marker, you're going to do it all the way across the other side of the sleeve. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Hopefully it will let me continue recording after a short break. If not, there will be a part 2, but you're going to need to do this for both sleeves. So hopefully this is making sense so far. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and then I will be back to show you what it should look like if you've done it correctly. All right, so I am at where my stitch marker's at. So you should have the sleeve sewn like this, and then you're just going to do the exact same thing and continue slip stitching. It's probably safe to remove your stitch marker at this point because exactly half of the sleeve is already attached. So you're just gonna, just like we were doing before, you go into the next stitch. Now here, because you're at the center, you're gonna go into right here where we joined. See? Because that's the exact middle. So you just slip stitch right there, and then again, next stitch right out the other side, slip stitch, and then just keep doing that all the way across. And you're going to do the same thing, same exact thing that we just did here, okay, on the other side of the hoodie. So you're going to take your other sleeve, okay, after you're done this one, you're going to line it up just like we did. If I can get this out of the way. Take the other sleeve, 24 stitches on this side, 24 stitches on this side. Slip stitch it together so that it's exactly halfway in the middle. And then I'm just going to quickly finish this up real quick, and then I will show you how to finish off the sleeve. I'm not going to do the left sleeve and the right sleeve on camera just because it's the exact same thing on both sides. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I'll show you how to finish sewing the sleeve, and then we will be done for this week's video. So just give me a sec. All right, so the sleeve is sewn together. So now, if you did this correctly, you should have front and back sewn together. That's what we did at the beginning of the video. And then the sleeve sewn just like that. All right, so now we have our seams facing us, which is good because again, we're gonna have to flip it inside out, and in order for the hoodie to look right, we need the seams to all be on the inside. So now that we've done that, give me 1 second because I messed up my papers and I want, oh, all right, give me 1 sec. Okay, so, okay, so we did here, here, and with the sleeve flat, we went up and down like I showed you guys. So now we're going to fold the hoodie together. So again, or I'm sorry, I did not cut this off because we're done bringing that one together, or bringing the, sewing the sleeve onto the, why is it not cutting? There we go. All right. Give me 1 second. I just have to make sure that I show you guys the right, like, angle or whatever. The directions say to fold the hoodie together, and then you're going to sew from the sleeve cuff to the underarm. So you're going to grab here and here where we have our seam showing at the top and the bottom of the hoodie. We're going to grab it like this, okay? So the seam is still showing, but now that we brought it together, our sleeve should be, you may have to, you know, like finagle it a little bit like that to get it. You want, obviously, the sleeve to be exactly lined up, just like this. Make sure, okay, yeah, there we go. I want to make sure I get it in the camera. So at this point, the other part of this hoodie doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, right here, just like we did the same exact way that we just joined together all of the other panels, but it says we're going to start with the cuff and we're going to go up to the underarm. So again, our seam is going to be facing us, which is what we want, because again, we need all of our seams on the same side so that when we flip it inside out, the seams are on the inside. So you're going to start here, okay? You're going to, I'm not going to do this on camera because you guys now know what you need to do in order to bring it together. So you want to start, bring it, make sure it's even. If you need to use stitch markers, that's fine. Or if you feel comfortable, then that's also fine. You want to go all the way up. Okay. So you start here, you're going to sew the sleeve together all the way up to the armpit. And then you're going to sew or join together. 1 second. Again, make sure that you bring it together so that it's symmetrical. Okay, and then you're going to sew, so we're going to go, that's a better camera view. Yeah, we're going to go up, starting again at the ribbing of the sleeve. We're going to go up, hit the armpit, and then join all the way down. So you should end your seaming together, sewing together, whatever you want to call it. If you do it correctly, you should end at the ribbing of the bottom of the sweater. And then you're just going to do, so you should end right here if you did it right. Then you're going to do the exact same thing for the other sleeve. So let's say that we join this together, right? We're going to, your sleeve will be joined together at that point, and this will be joined together at that point. That's fine. You can, no, wait a minute. I am sorry. So, okay, you're going to want to put your, I'm sorry, you're going to want to do your other sleeve before you bring it together. Sorry about that. So, we're going to lay it back out just for 1 second, just so I can give you guys, oh, that was my phone case, a visual. Okay, so you are going to do what I just said, but before you do that, And before you bring this sleeve together and down, you want to join the other sleeve on this side, just like we did the first time. Let me make sure it's in the camera. It is. And then after you have the sleeve from here to here, like we did before, then you're going to fold it together, because if you don't do it that way, it's just going to be more difficult. Then once you have the other sleeve on, it'll look just like this, but on the right side. Like I said, so then you'll have this sleeve together and this sleeve together, and then you're just going to start here and go up to the armpit all the way down to the end of the sweater, keeping it together. And then you're going to do the exact same thing on this side, starting at the ribbing of this sleeve, up to the armpit and down. And then you will have joined together the front and back and sleeves of your hoodie. And that is it for this week. Once you do that, you can flip the hoodie inside out to hide your seams, and then you will officially be able to put it on at that point. The rest of what we're doing is all just kind of like finishing touches and whatnot. And plus, we have to add the hood. We do have to do that. But before we move on to the hood, we need to do all of this, bring it all together. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. Again, and as always, if you have questions, if you feel like you don't understand and you want me to work one-on-one with you, either me or Colleen will be more than happy to help you. When I get done sewing this together off camera, I'll post a picture in the group just so that you guys know what it should look like. But again, don't ever hesitate to reach out if you're confused or have questions or anything like that. So I really hope that this made sense. I apologize for the length of this video, but for this part, I really felt that it was necessary for me to explain it in a lot of detail, because if there's people that are making this hoodie that have never had to like sew a garment together before, it can be confusing. I actually have done things like this before, but I've never put a sweater together in this particular way. I really like the way that she did it, but I just wanted to make sure that I was as clear as I could be. So that is it. I'm just double checking. Use your preferred joining method to sew from sleeve cuff to underarm, and then continue down from the underarm to the bottom hem. Repeat on the other side, which is what I just went over. And then, yeah, so here's on the next page, there's the diagram, which just shows that once you have the sleeve together, you're going to start here and then go sew into the armpit and then down the side. Then it goes on to the hood. Do not worry about the hood. That's next week. So for this week, all you're doing is sewing everything together. Do not worry about the hoodie pocket. We already crocheted that. And do not worry about the drawstring. They will get sewn on and sewn in different videos. So for this week, you're just going to focus on sewing your pieces together. So I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you guys have fun doing it. Again, once you're done this, you can flip it inside out and try it on. See how it fits. I can't wait to see pictures of the progress. Feel free to post pictures of yourself with it on, even though it's not finished. And comment with questions, or you can message me directly on Facebook, or Colleen Gilchrist Collins, who is my other admin. She's great as well. Either one of us will be happy to help. That's it for this week. So again, have fun. I hope you guys all had a nice weekend, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.